Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 4. How's everybody doing? Hey, chef. We're doing all right?
Chilling.
Hello, hello, Mindy. Good. Well, all right. We actually have a lot to tackle tonight. So, unless anybody has any questions regarding past week's live session and work, etc., I'm gonna move ahead because we literally have a lot to talk about tonight. First, I want to ask you all how comfortable you all feel with the terms food cost, like a high, mid, low. We got some okays. All right. Okay. Um, well, Chef Vince feels great about that. That's great. That's good. You're comfortable with those? Yeah. Good. All right. Okay. Well, who thinks, remember in the beginning of the class we talked about the number of restaurants that fail within that first year, then within the next 2 years, right? What do we think a lot of that depends on? We've now been covering and talking about demographics, how we're marketing to our customers, menus, how do they read, how do they sell, right? So what else do we think contributes to this restaurant or establishment making it or breaking it? Obviously, there are a ton of factors. Food loss.
Food costs, employees,
Yep.
wages.
Yeah. Wages, food costs, employees, food loss. Yeah, all great answers. So let's kind of break this down, okay? And visualize. You know, just visualize your favorite restaurant. Okay, this will be easy for everybody to then get a picture of with what they want to see, whether it's a small spot, a big spot, whatever. All right, dine in. Okay, so picture that and think about what it looks like when it's jam packed and full of guests. Okay, now picture it completely empty, maybe only one or two guests in there. All right. So, what do we know about those two situations? Let's say those are just 2 different days, 2 different years. Staff is not happy. That could be a possibility. That
Uh,
definitely could contribute to it. What about, and food loss? Yep. So, service is not as good. Yep. What do we think about what's actually, is that restaurant making money when there's nobody in there? No. Okay. Right. So, we've got one situation where the restaurant's not bringing anything in. Got another situation where it is taking a lot in. Okay. Now, what do you have to do for that restaurant every day, no matter what? What are you paying for that restaurant to be in existence and to be running and operating, whether you have people in it or not? What are some of those things?
Wages for the people that are prepping food, your servers that are waiting.
Okay, so you're paying employees. Janice, can you? It's a little hard to hear you. It's breaking up a little bit because I think you got great answers, but it's hard to hear you. See lights and wages. And now we've lost you, Janice. If you can get back, I want to hear what you have to say. So either put it in the chat or something else. Lights and wages. What else? What else is a really big thing? What happens when you go on, say you live in an apartment and you rent an apartment and you pay rent every month, right? But let's say you go on vacation for a month. What are you still doing for that when nobody's in there?
Oh,
You're paying rent. Yeah, exactly. So whether you have customers in there or not, you're paying rent, okay? Plus wages to employees. Costs like electricity, water, internet, the list goes on, right? So we know you have to pay those every single month, no matter what, no matter if you have 500 customers or 50 customers, right? Your rent's gonna stay the same, right? That's a fixed cost. Okay, we're gonna be talking about fixed costs and variable costs. This is really important to the start of your business, right? So your fixed cost, rent, right? Possibly a mortgage or something like that if you have a mortgage. Your salaries, right? Because a salary is different than an hourly waged employee. You can change, increase, and decrease those employee wages. So that's not fixed, right? But if Chef Vince is the executive chef there, he has a salary that he's getting. That's going to be a fixed cost. Okay. I'm just I work the line on the weekends. I'm a variable cost because I could work 8 hours, I could work overtime. Do you see how those are very different? Right? One thing you know, you're paying the executive chef Vince his salary every month. Chef Catherine only comes in on the weekends. Sometimes it's slower, sometimes she calls off. So that changes. Okay. What else do we think is going to be a fixed cost? Again, something that you're going to pay every month and it does not fluctuate. Insurance, right? Don't you have to have insurance if you want to have an establishment? Right? What else could be a variable cost? Services needed for the business. Yeah, exactly. If we're really busy, we need more staff, right? We're going to use more electricity. We're going to use more gas. We're going to use more water. Because the more food we're generating, the more resources and energy we need to create that, right? Okay. Especially when we're thinking about what do we think makes up a big chunk of what you're paying every month? We know you're going to be paying rent, insurance, okay, electricity, all of those things, internet.
Food and salaries.
Oh, way to go. Food and labor. Way to go. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Two things that as a manager, you can actually control. How do we control food cost? Cut waste. Yeah. What else? How else can we do that? How do we cut waste?
Use only what is necessary for the product or for the item.
Okay, using only what's necessary, prepping what's only necessary. FIFO, awesome. Yeah, exactly. What else? What else do we think is really important? What about when you get that delivery back door?
Ensuring everything you ordered is there and it's in usable shape.
Awesome. Way to go. Yeah, exactly. Right. So there are going to be checkpoints because we will start talking about checkpoints along the line. There are checkpoints at every spot that you need to be on top of managing your costs. Okay. We just talked a little bit about food costs right there. Great job. What about labor costs? How can you manage your labor costs? Make sure everyone is working, okay? While they're there, of course, not just sitting around, right? If there's time to lean, there's time to clean, right? That's the old saying. Sending staff home if it's not busy. Yeah, great. What else? Wages. Oh, yeah. Right? How much are you paying everybody?
Right.
Okay. So, got labor costs we're talking about. We're talking food costs. Okay. What else do we think goes in? We know we've got that rent, right? Those bills we have to pay every month, whether people are coming in or not. What else do we think contributes to running a business?
Uh, Overusing towels or cleaning supplies that you don't really have to.
Yeah, and wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, definitely. Maintaining your inventory, right? Always be on top of that. What's fresh? Are things are walking out of that kitchen without kitchen tickets coming in, right? Theft from employees. Yeah, exactly. All right, potential, right? And that other big component we want to talk about, we want some type of profit, right? So now, with all the money that's coming in, right? All the sales that we make, right? The money that we're generating, whether we're doing events, however we're getting that money, every month we're going to have a total, right? Now we know every month I have to at least be paying this over there for my rent and those things that I can't run the establishment without. Right? Every month I'm going to be looking at my food costs, right? My food waste, right? Tracking that inventory, making sure everything's going on. And those labor wages, because I have to pay for all of that. I have to pay for everybody who's working, right? I have to pay for all the produce that I'm buying and losing, right? Wasting. Once I buy it, it's mine. I've got to figure out how to make it the most useful, right? Reducing that food cost. Okay. So there are a lot of components to control. It's not just I'm making money, good, we're okay. So if you don't have your books in order, right? Potential for things to get a little crazy, right? All of a sudden, you do have people who are not who are on the schedule and not really working that much, right? They're a prep cook. They finish their prep. They don't have much to do, and they're not hopping on to start prep for the next day. It's money lost, right? Now, something to think about though here. Your employees are your employees. You want to keep them happy. You want to treat them fairly. What if you're going into the slow season? What do you think you have to do? Right? You're going into the slow season, it's not going to be as busy. What happens?
Have to cut labor.
Cut labor. Yeah. So, Janice, did you want to say something? Yeah, you got to figure out, are you cutting somebody completely? Are you gonna reduce shift hours across the board? Again, you want to talk to your employees, you want to keep your employees healthy, because guess what? You don't want to risk losing your employees and having to go through hiring and training again. Why? Why don't we want to have to be hiring and training again constantly? Cost money and time. right? Exactly. So you want to keep your employees happy. So you want to talk to your employees. Who can work some extra shifts? Who has flexibility in their shifts? Who needs more? Who's got, you know, uh, less flexibility, right? Who's your stronger worker? What are you paying all of them? Can you have some workers come in just during those rushes, right, to help out, as opposed to having a ton of staff on all the time? You have a smaller opening team, and then your main rush team, then a closing team, right? This is how you can start to work with hours. All right. Does anybody have any questions about that so far? I know it's a lot, but feeling good? Chef, anything you want to talk about in regards to that right now?
That's
You're the
uh,
pro. Let's hear it. This is your
I think
special.
we as chefs kind of misunderstand our jobs. We think about it's all about the food. Yeah, the food. I love to cook, but ultimately, if your numbers aren't right, unless this is your own establishment, even if it's your own establishment, A, you're gonna go out of business. If it's not your own establishment and you're working somewhere, B, you're probably gonna get fired. So it's not only about the food. It's about food, treating people the right way, making money, saving money, depending on where you work. So you got to kind of wrap it all up. So you have to be the perfect chef. Don't want to scare you off. You guys will do great though. Don't worry.
That's right. Chef, talk to us a little bit about how we were talking about this beforehand, what type of budget you work with, Chef.
You guys aren't ready for these numbers.
Yeah.
Last year my budget came in just under $21 million. So when you put it in perspective, when we talk of restaurants, we're talking a couple 100,000. Cool, you do your thing, couple million. But when you throw in a bunch of zeros after it, and when I got orders coming in that's $50,000 a day, uh, talk about theft. Talk about location for this product. My world is different. I've been in your shoes. I've worked my way up. I was a chef. I did all those things, but nothing opened my eyes more than the food that I see now, and the cost and the dollars. The good news is I've never seen a $1 transaction, not $1 come through my hands. It's all electronic. It's like we're gonna move money here and put it over here. So it's like Monopoly money, and I haven't gotten in trouble yet, so I'm good. But I haven't put anything in my pocket. So, but ultimately, it doesn't matter how big the number is. The food cost is the same. Labor cost is the same. I have a facility that's just massive. It's a warehouse. We have 8 trucks that go out every day. We'll talk about fixed costs for that. So when you look at it in labor costs, when you got 200 plus employees on your staff, and nobody can really go home because these students are always going to eat. They're always coming in. So it's always a constant. It's a constant. So I just want to kind of give you guys a different view on sometimes we think about food costs, we think about restaurants, but it's everywhere. When you're dealing with food, it's everywhere.
All right. So whether you're large scale, small scale, keeping track is how you have to do. You have to be on your numbers, maintaining inventory, constantly on top of things. Otherwise, like Chef and I both have said, things are going to just start to walk out the door, right? There are opportunities for that. There's opportunities for not checking that inventory when it comes in, right? Also, your relationships with your suppliers, right? Chef Vince, how many suppliers do you work with?
We probably work with about 5, but our big contracts are with 2, just to ensure we always have to have a backup plan and a backup plan to a backup plan. When you're looking for 400 cases of a product, and then you need another 300 cases of fresh cantaloupe or apples or whatever we're doing or whatever we're serving that day, you got to have a backup plan. That's huge, especially if you have a restaurant and you have a great special, people lining up out the door, and your one vendor doesn't have it. What are you going to cancel that special, make everybody mad, and they won't come back? I know you got to always have a plan B. and sometimes a plant C in your back pocket. And then some people might have other products that you might love and utilize. So that's another way to think about it too. So.
Awesome. Yeah. So there are large suppliers, and then you have smaller scale suppliers as well. Okay. You have specialty gourmet suppliers. Now, what do we think? You think it's best to have, 10 different suppliers coming in every week? That's a delivery every week from 10 different people. Or if we could stream that down to 6, wouldn't that be better? 2, right? Right? How many deliveries? What does it take to check in a delivery? Time, money, and making sure those schedules match up. What if your supplier doesn't drop it off? What if you didn't get your delivery?
How
Right?
much storage you have to make that call? Yeah.
What's your space like in your establishment? Right? Depending upon the size of your walk-in cooler, you may or may not need more deliveries. I know of a restaurant that's located actually in Wolverine State, Chef Vince. They're getting deliveries all the time. You know why? Because they have a small walk-in fridge, and they utilize a lot of fresh product. Now, what does that actually help? You can think about the cons, but what might be a pro about that?
The items are always fresh. You utilize what you have on hand to know what your next delivery should have on it.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. It's always fresh. You're turning over product a lot quicker, right? Because you don't have a big storage area to store where, oh man, that item's not selling and now I have wasted product, right? So again, it is layers upon layers upon layers. But when you start thinking about it in practical ways, it starts to make sense, right? If you've got a lot of dry goods, right? Maybe you make rice or beans or use a lot of soy sauce or vinegars in your dishes. Guess what? That's dry storage, right? That helps. Okay? Having those products on hand that are shelf stable, right? Now, let's go back to menus. I want to pull something up. What do we think is really important about menus? How can a menu influence what your purchases, your inventory for produce, dry goods, meat, fish look like? How does your menu impact that? And what would be something that would be really good to do on a menu? What about, you guys remember that word cross-utilization? No, not yet. Okay, that's okay. Cross-utilization. So let's think about this. Let's think of a concept. Let's just think, I'm gonna think of like a cool little new taqueria, okay? And I'm gonna have an assortment of tacos on my menu, probably some specials every once in a while. I'm also gonna offer, refrescas, like aguas refrescas, like fresh juices and smoothies, okay? Now, does anybody remember that great type of taco that comes with pineapple on it? Has anybody ever had it? Al pastor, right? Okay. So tacos al pastor comes with a little bit of pineapple in it. Okay, so now I'm getting pineapple in. right? Because I really want to have tacos al pastor. They sell like crazy. Everybody loves them. I need to figure out where else I can use that pineapple though, because otherwise, am I just bringing pineapples in for this one dish? Is it worth it? Should I put it somewhere else? Cross utilization. Think about this, cross utilization. A drink, exactly, right? I'm gonna make a drink. Maybe I'm gonna make a sorbet. Maybe I'm gonna find ways to incorporate that into specials that I have. Cross utilization, huge. If you have, let's say, 5 menu items, right? Let's just go small. It's easier to think in small ways, right? 5 menu items. And each menu item has 10, let's just call 10 ingredients in each one, right? Because remember, guess what else are ingredients? Oil, salt, pepper, flour, spices. Those are ingredients, right? I need to use that to make something. So right there, that's 5. That's 3 to 4 that are going to be in all of them across the board, right? Salt, pepper, oil, vinegar, or getting sugar, right? Right? Then you're going to add, so we got, again, we said 5 items, 10 ingredients in each item, in each menu item. What do we think it's a good idea to have? Are we going to have all different ingredients in every single one of those? Or do we want to make sure that we're cross-utilizing, right? So if I have sliced tomatoes for a burger and I'm using diced tomatoes somewhere else, or I'm making a tomato sauce somewhere else, okay, right? If I offer let's think about this, like a smoked chicken for a quesadilla, right? I could have that quesadilla coming in plain, or I could have an option of that smoked chicken that's going in that taco, that El Pastor meat that's going in a taco, right? I've got that spicy beef, ground beef mixture that I'm using in one. So now I'm cross-utilizing, right? I've got those in the tacos that I'm offering. I'm also offering it as a possibility to a quesadilla. Maybe I'm offering it as an add-on as a salad, right? I'm trying to think, what, you all have already taken Cuisines of the World already, correct? Right, okay. Remember Salsa Week for Mexico? Central America, did anybody make the salsas? You had to do that in the, or the tortilla española, I believe. So that salsa week, how many salsas did you make out of about 5, 6 ingredients? 4 or 5 salsas, right? Using 5 ingredients, tomatoes, cilantro, 2 different types of peppers were in there, and I believe red onion, right? But you were able to make 5 completely different sauces from that. Again, cross-utilization. How do you make something different using those same products? Okay, cross-utilization. All right. Is this all making sense to everybody? Cool, good. I'll tell you what, also, whenever I've had I have a friend who has a catering business out in Vermont and a small cafe, and she'll call me up every once in a while and say, hey, I need some like ideas. I need to talk to somebody, bounce ideas off. I'm like, all right, cool. Let's go over your menu again really quickly. So what I'm going to do, right, when I want to create a new dish, help her create a new dish, I'm going to look at all of the ingredients she has on her menu already and think about how I can make another dish, because we don't need to purchase another ingredient. So when you're looking at your inventory, right, you have a big old fat stack of papers of all the things that you've got in, right? Tomato sauce, beans, rice, this, meat, fish, everything. You want to look at that list, that inventory list. What can I create of what I already have without adding another item to my inventory list? Right? Cool. So,
Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
You
sure.
might have to add some different seasons. You might have to order something, but you don't need to order everything.
Oh, yes, of course. Of course. I'm trying to give like the most extreme way of visualizing it.
I understand.
Yeah. Of course, when you want to make something and go for it, heck yeah. But maybe you're buying that in a small quantity first. You're doing a trial run, how it's received by your customers, and you're like, okay, this is selling. It's time to incorporate it. And then you say it's worth it, but you're not going to buy a 50-pound bag of, a pallet of rice if you haven't had rice on there yet, right? You got to make sure that it works before you go fully in. So you have to be smart about the quantity that you're purchasing. All right, let me pull this up. I just want to make sure that we are all on the class page together so that we know what's going on this week. And I want to point out some important things as well. So, all right, here we go. Here we go. Menu pricing and cost controls. All right, this is what we've already been talking about. Except one thing. Equipment, the big one, right? Same like items on a menu. You want to make sure that you're utilizing your equipment well, right? Do you have a fryer and only have a few one item that you're frying? Is that effective? Is that efficient? No, right? So efficiency again. Okay, so let's just click through these. I wanted to point out in particular, which is here. You all said you were fairly confident with your food costs and stuff. Have you ever figured out how to price a menu item? How do you decide? Remember we talked about that last week, the stars, the cows, right? Things that sell well. How do you price a menu item? You want to make profit on it, right? You can't sell it for just what you're buying it for, right? Just the raw cost of ingredients.
Is it a 30% markup or something like that?
Wait, Janice, how long have you been in the industry? Yeah, you're exactly right. 30% is where you want to be going, right? Okay, so this is a little bit how you break it down, all right? How to calculate a food dish, just like we talked about, every single ingredient, right? A sprinkle of salt, a sprig of parsley, a cinnamon stick in the horchata that I'm making. You don't think, oh, it's just one, it doesn't matter. What happens when you make 100 batches of that? That number one just became 100. Okay? That 1 gram just became 100 grams, which after, if that's a week, then after a month, we're at 400. After a year, 4,800 grams. That started off as just 1 gram. Everything adds up constantly, right? Now, what else do we think this could be really important in, all right? We've got every single list of ingredients, right? For one menu item. What is important to have on hand in the kitchen, and what is important to tell your staff?
Measuring equipment.
Measuring equipment, great. Yep, what else?
Um,
A scale, yeah, right? Measuring, right? What else? How will we know what to weigh unless we have what? A recipe, right?
Recipe. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You guys are there. I'm just, sometimes I got to milk you a little bit, right? Recipe standardization. Okay. Standardization. Why is this important?
So you're getting the exact measurements and each dish tastes the same every time you taste it.
There you go. Consistency, right? And cost maintenance. Okay. So on in larger scale, large volume establishments, right? Say I'm prepping for Friday night. It's going to be gangbusters. I'm in garde manger. I'm doing salads, right? How am I going to maintain portion control when it is totally insane? I've got tickets coming in left and right, and we're talking about a large volume, probably chain restaurant. Okay. What's the best way to ensure quality and consistency and portion control on that? Cost.
Following the recipes.
Right. But guess what? You're right. But if I need to streamline that so I'm exact, maybe I'm going to portion those out in bags, right? Because it's a lot easier for me to open that bag dump. Now, is there waste and cost involved with that? 100%. But if I have more increased accuracy and I'm getting a better return on my cost because that new person who just started working here hasn't figured out, is it this much or is it this much? It's a bag. Boom. It's this one scoop. That's it. Okay. Now, does that work at every establishment? Heck no, it doesn't. Is it going to work at a lot? Oh, yeah. Okay. It's not going to be that everywhere. It's a dab of butter here. Oh, adjust it to your taste, right? It needs a little bit more vinegar, right? Those things are going to happen, right? But again, standardization in your recipes, portion control, training. All right. So what, chef? Let me hear it. What were you saying?
I was just saying, like, no, like,
Ugh.
that's why it's so important to retain your staff. Did you know they said to train someone it costs, and to hire someone new, it's about $8,000 to $10,000 every time you hire somebody new. Like, those numbers are just crazy to me, because it's true when you put it on paper. The training hours of 2 people to this to this to this to this. I get it. So retaining your staff, because that's a lot of money.
Indeed it is. All right, cool. So now we know that it's important to have that recipe standardization. And we know that's how we're going to figure out how to cost out a menu item. Right? We got that. Let's just go back to that example. Here it is. Calculate the cost of each ingredient. 1 tomato, you get 8 slices out of that tomato. You buy the tomato for 40 cents. Okay. If I'm using 1 slice of tomato on there, 40 divided by 5, 40 divided by 8, right? Equals 5 cents. So I know, in addition to that patty, hamburger patty, plus the slice of onion, plus the slice of lettuce, plus the bun, plus the oil to cook the patty in, plus the fries that come on the side, plus the salt that goes in there, plus the oil that is in the fryer, right, to fry the fries. Okay. Add that all together. You're not going to talk about any of the labor costs in this, okay? Just the cost of the ingredients. And then you divide that by that food cost percentage, like Janice was saying, typically about 30%. That's what you want to aim for, okay? And that's the minimum menu price you need to charge to make a profit. Now, we know that's the minimum charge to make a profit. How and what other factors would come into play to say, Okay, that's the minimum I need to make a profit. What else should I look at before I set my menu price?
How much are you going to pay that person to actually make that sandwich?
Not yet, not yet, but that could contribute. No, you're in there. If you have really high labor costs, you're going to want to start to figure that, add that, but you're not going to want that. What else before you set that menu price? I'm selling a hamburger, and there are at least 10 other spots in town that also sells a hamburger the style I want to make. What am I going to look at, Janice? I see you getting it. Vince? Chef Vince?
Better burger.
I
A
don't
better
know.
burger? Okay.
Competition, chef. You want to look at their
Yeah,
how they're
competition.
selling it with product, price, price point, when they're selling the most, game days coming up, Super Bowl. Woo! I cannot wait. Okay, that's all.
Yes, exactly. Competition. Yes, Mindy. Yes, Janice. Other establishments. If everywhere else is selling a burger for $9, right? Maybe there's one place is at 12. There's another one at 6. You got to find your spot. You got to find out what your quality is compared to the others. So know your competitors' prices, right? Be aware of that. That helps immensely. Otherwise, you know what's going to happen? Somebody say, oh, you know what? I was over at Chef Catherine's spot and, I had a burger and it cost $9. I went to Chef Vince's spot and it was 8 and it was just as good. So I'm going to go to Chef Vince's because it's just as good, but it's $1 less. Right? Now, what if it was reversed? Oh, I went to Chef Catherine's place. I had this unbelievable margarita, came with free chips and salsa, and it was like I felt amazing after one. It was delicious, it was refreshing, it wasn't too sweet, but it was like this expensive cocktail. On the other hand, I had one at that other spot down the road and it was okay, but it was cheap. It was cheap. And I had a lot of chips and salsa because they were coming for free, but I felt a little sick later. Right? Are you willing to pay the price? If something's really good, yeah, you're going to want to, right? So again, you've got to be a pretty decent critic, right? Sometimes that's hard because we're like, my food's definitely the best, but you got to be reasonable. What's the quality of ingredient? Are you using house-made, house-ground chuck and beef and doing a great mixture of your fat content? And the other place is just getting a tube of ground beef and they're just patting it in, slicing it down? Do you have a higher quality product? Yeah, maybe you do. You can charge a little bit more. Okay, cool. Any questions about that? Making sense? Cool, right on. All right, so I'm just going through this, make sure we're doing all the really important things. Okay, determine prices, talked about that. You've got to take a little quiz here. And then let's see, are you guys on here? Am I sharing? Yeah, good. Next section, right? Suppliers. We talked a little bit about this earlier in briefly class, right? Where are they coming from? How are you getting them? Look at this type of a warehouse setting. Is that what yours looks like, Chef Vince? Close? Maybe.
Yeah. Take them high racks, maybe cut them in half. But there's lots of space. Lots of the skids. Our coolers are massive. Our freezers are massive. I got to get a new coat for it. They bought me one. They had 4 or 5 years ago. But yeah, something like this, but not with the high racks though.
All right, see? Because you got storage in there, right? Paper goods. Where are you storing your paper goods? You're going to need storage for that too. Again, this is going to break down your different types of suppliers, right? And again, going back to that important relationship that you have with suppliers, because the better your relationship with your supplier, the more likely you're going to get some better deals coming through, right? He or she will start introducing you to new products, keep you on top of trends, give you tastings, okay? Here we go, reducing costs, right? Talking about cross utilization, we talked about that, okay? And that importance, okay? I think there was one other thing in here. Talked about cross utilizing equipment, awesome, and connected costs, okay? What Janice kept talking about, hey, we're gonna have to pay somebody to do that, right? So this is really important here. Take a look, everybody. If you buy more prepared food, right? Pre-prepared food, meaning I'm getting vacuum sealed packages of sauces that I can cut and dump, right? Less labor, less skilled labor, right? Doesn't take much to cut and dump, right? Heat, don't burn. But guess what? With that perk, that pre-prepared food is going to cost a lot more because now you're paying for a third party to prepare it, package, and transport. So that's going to get expensive. On the flip side, you want to make all of your soups in-house from scratch? You better be darn sure that your staff knows how to make a killer soup. Right? It's going to take longer because that soup's going to take a little time to build levels of flavor, but it's what sets you apart. Okay? So, there was one other thing that I wanted to show you all, but how's everybody feeling about this information so far? Feeling pretty good, clear? Realizing there's a lot more to running an establishment than just being, like Chef said, like a great chef, right? Just all about the food. A lot more. It's actually what sets, awesome, glad to hear that, Marie. It's what it sets you apart, actually, oftentimes, as a successful chef. If you know how to run that kitchen. Keep your labor costs, food costs tight. All right. All right, so there is just one other thing I want to show you guys, and then I think that's about it. Oh yeah, okay. Projections. Now, in your first week of business, you don't know what's going to happen necessarily. You have an idea. That first month, first quarter, first year. I think my chicken wings are going to sell like crazy. So I'm guessing I'm going to have X amount of orders every day. Whoopsies, big mistake. I guessed wrong. Projections, right? The longer time you're in business, the more data you're collecting, right? Because as you ring everything up into your POS system, point of sale system. Now, let me tell you one thing. And I'm sure Chef Vince is really familiar with this, integrated systems that are all working together. So it's something's coming in, something's going out, and numbers are shifting, right? Some really great advancements in hospitality technology are allowing us to streamline and really integrate systems and know what's going on a day-to-day basis. But no matter what, your most basic POS, point of sales system, should be doing some type of daily calculating of how many burgers you sold, how many tacos you sold, how many chicken wings you sold, how many drinks you sold, right? This allows you to say, hey, I know the weekend is coming. Based on our week, our fish has been a mid seller, the pork was a low seller, and that chicken just was selling more than anything. 3 times the amount of anything else out there. So what do I need if I'm thinking I've got the weekend ahead? What do I need to do based on my experience from that past week?
Order more chicken and less of the other two.
There you go. Exactly. And you want to be sure that you're prepping that too, right? So that you're ready to go. Okay. So again, with more time, the more data you get, the better your projections are. And there are going to be times when you're way off. All right. And it's just like a fluke in the weather. I mean, am I right, Chef? That just happens. You're like, it's been predictable and steady all along. And all of a sudden something goes crazy. And you're like, where did that happen? Also, one last thing, and I'm going to bring a little comparison into not just restaurants or hotels, holidays and grocery stores. Let's think about that. Okay. So holidays are coming around. Actually, they just passed. But what am I going to do? Say I run I'm a purchaser for the grocery store. Holidays are coming up. What am I going to increase my purchases of? Right? What am I going to my inventory of? Probably some turkey, some ham, some bigger cuts of meat, right? Because I know those are going to sell. Those holidays are coming in. I'm going to sell more of those. You have to budget based on not just projections, but also upcoming events, right? Is it spring break and you live in a college town, your restaurant's in a college town? Are you going to order the same amount of food that you have when it was just finals week? No way.
No.
No, exactly. Right? So there's all these variable factors. Or it's 4th of July weekend and everybody's going to be out. Okay. I see there's some convo going on in the chat about costs. Sometimes it's really hard to analyze what's going to be that cost, right? It takes a lot of practice and knowledge, right, and experience to know how to do that. So, Jeff, do you want to share this your reasoning and explain to everybody else what's going on in the chat with the
Oh yeah, Marie asked about an event that she has for which is the one meal, $300 for 400 people. Yeah, I think we're in a business to make money. If you put it in perspective, that's less than $1 a person. But you also got to think about drinks. I'm assuming this is depending on where they are. You know, like you might be using nicer paper plates, plastic plates, depending if you have the silverware. You know, that comes into play as well. But when you're pricing a meal, when you're looking at, say I have 400 people. Usually you don't give them the cost, like, all right, $300. You want to give them the, what do you want? And then you then turn around, give them like a few hours or a day to price it out, kind of get a general price in your head, how much these things are going to cost, or price things out. And then you can do your 30% caterings, you can do 50%, you can do as much as you want. If your food is good, especially with a catering, that's a little bit different versus a restaurant style plated dinner. So those come into effect, but the 300 a month, 300 to serve 400 people, don't do it. Maybe it's more in the lines of 800, so that's more like 2 or 1,000. So I always want to think about making money. But if you're nonprofit, there's other ways to think about it as well, because you can't make a profit. You want to hit costs, but you want to cover your labor costs and all your costs, and of course, put a couple dollars in your pocket, but it has to go back into the business as a nonprofit. So there's lots of ways around situations. You just have to word it correctly and understand the rules. That's a different situation.
Awesome. Thank you, Chef. All right, so it all comes down to numbers, numbers, numbers. We all thought it was all about food, food, food. Oh, wait, it is. It's both, all right? Because without one or the other, hey, something's going to fall short, all right? So, class, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. I hope that this made sense. And again, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to one of us. Other than that, knock out this week's assignment, and we're flying to the end of the course. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you all for being here, and have a great rest of the week. Bye.
Good night.
Night.